Thank you very much, everybody. And a very big hello, Las Vegas. We love you, Las Vegas. And hello to Nevada. I'm thrilled to be back in this incredible state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. It's great. It's great. And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I don't think so. What do you think? No way. Nah, you were much better off 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and 7 years ago, and 8 years ago. This is terrible what's happening to our country. This is terrible. We have people that are grossly incompetent. We have the worst president in the history of the United States. We have the worst vice president in the history of the United States. And unlike us here tonight, we have an intelligent group of people. You have a man that doesn't need teleprompters, wasn't that nice? But in Georgia tonight, they say that Kamala has just absolutely bombed. She's bombed. It's the big story. In fact, I was gonna watch it. I didn't want to come out. I wanted to watch that first. Isn't that terrible? Then I could explain to you what happened, but I hear it was bad tonight. But it's always bad. It's always bad. But I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. And with your vote in this election, we will end inflation. We, all of us together, we will stop the invasion. And we will bring back the American dream, something you haven't heard about for about 4 years. Think about it. 4 years ago, we had no inflation. We were energy independent. We were strong as hell. Nobody was playing games with us. Nobody was threatening us. The Middle East wasn't fighting. Russia wasn't going into Ukraine. They never would have gone. What a shame. What a mess we are in. The world, the whole world is in a mess. And nuclear war with incompetent people looms. Don't kid yourself. We've never been so close. Our country is being crippled and destroyed by Kamala Harris and Biden, but he's like not even the president. What's going on with this guy? You know, we're supposed to be talking about the president. We're talking about the vice president who got no votes. Whether you like him or not, I'm not a big fan, as you probably know. But, you know, we had a debate. He didn't do particularly well. I wouldn't say it was the greatest. It was not Winston Churchill. Do we agree? The late, great Winston Churchill, who was a great debater. This was not. But he didn't do well. But he went down. And they should have let him. I mean, he got 14 million votes. She got no votes. And now she's imploding worse than him. She's actually imploding, if you take a look. Because, look, I'm not supposed to say it, but we are leading by so much. Now we're leading by a lot in Nevada. We're leading by a lot in Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, even states that are typically never in play for 50, 60, 70 years. They seem getting close. Sir, New Hampshire is in play. I said, oh, that's nice. Let's make a trip. Let's make a trip. But the fact is that states, other states too, big states, are all in play. And they like us, but you know what? They think she is grossly incompetent, let's face it. She is not doing well. We can't have her as president. Can't have. We've had that for 4 years. We're not going to go another 4 years. She broke it, and I promise you I will fix it, and we'll fix it fast. With your support on November 5th, America will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before. This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of incompetence, failure, and disaster, or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We can do that. It's not too late. It's not too late. A couple of years like this, it will be too late. You'll never put it together again. After all the catastrophes that she has caused, Kamala Harris can't say one thing that she'd do differently. Did you see that the other night? Would you name one thing? How about 20? Would you name like 25, 30? But I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again. You're going to be excited. Because this will be America's new golden age. It's going to be the golden age of America. You watch. And we're off to a little bit of a bad start because we're starting around the minus 30-yard line. But we'll catch up fast. We'll clean up our country. We'll get the criminals the hell out of here that are pouring in. Right? Every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands because we can't go any longer. We're taking it right up to the edge. Nevada, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, you can't take it anymore. She's the worst vice president. She's grossly incompetent. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Fired. Get out. Get the hell out of here. We gotta fix our country. We gotta fix up our country. It's a nation in decline, Kamala. Get the hell out of here. The polls are open for early voting in Nevada every day from now to November 1st. So get your husband. Hank, get the hell out of the couch, Hank. Get up, get that big fat ass of yours. We're gonna go and vote for the president. We're gonna turn our country around, Hank. Come on, let's go, Hank. Right? So get out, vote Republican up and down the ballot. We're going to do a real job. With your help, 12 days from now, 12 days. We've been waiting for 4 years. Now think of it, we did great in 2016. I hate to tell you, we did much better, like millions and millions of votes better. But you know what, now, what we do is going to be bigger. This will be the biggest political event in the history of our country if we win. With your help, 12 days from now, we are going to win Nevada. We are going to defeat Kamala Harris, and we are going to make America great again. Right? Thank you. What spirit? What spirit? It's like a pent-up, isn't it? It's like pent-up spirit. That's crazy. It's like a boiler waiting to explode. You've been waiting for this so long. Get out and vote. We can't take any chances. Got to get out and vote. That's why they say, don't say how well we're doing, sir. Please. We got to get If you say how well, they'll say, oh, we don't have to vote, the president, and then they throw a couple of more votes in there, right? No, we can't let that happen. No, you have to get out and vote. If Kamala gets 4 more years, she will obliterate our economy, kill millions of jobs, kill thousands of people too, by the way, and destroy your family finances, probably forever. Kamala's inflation has already cost the typical family over $30,000 in higher prices. They all talk, everybody I speak to, they talk about groceries. You know, such a basic term, groceries. the groceries, they mean every single item of grocery, because your foods have gone up 50, 60, 70%, much more than the fake news tells you. Look at the, oh, that's a lot of fake news. Man, that is a lot of fake news. I don't believe it. Wow. You know, they sort of have a death wish because they don't want to follow me, but they have to because those ratings. Ultimately, it's ratings first for them. Country about fifth. I'd say country is about fifth or sixth, right? The great Vivek. Stand up, Vivek. We have Marco Rubio. We have everybody. Marco. We have Marco. We went to a Latino restaurant. They saw Marco. They went crazy. And now she wants to raise taxes on the typical Las Vegas family by an average of $5,000 a year. The only one I've ever known campaigning and raising taxes. Take a look at the video, please.
To get rid of that tax bill, calling for a full repeal of President Trump's tax cuts.
If Kamala Harris was elected president, there are many different tax policies which could cripple the economy, but the first thing she wants to do is allow these Trump tax cuts to expire.
Even the New York Times admits that 85% of the middle class got a tax cut.
Americans will face a hike. The Tax Foundation finding that a couple with 2 kids making $165,000 a year would have to pay over $2,400 more in taxes.
And on day one, I will repeal that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to work to get rid of that tax cut. Joe and I are about to get rid of that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax cut.
Everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic. We've got to increase the corporate tax rate. Part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up. We will tax capital gains.
But we're going to have to raise corporate taxes.
Taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way the stock moves to say, we're going to tax what you don't have. That's a sore point, and it's a big deal. Is that something you think she firmly believes in?
I think it's part of the proposals of the campaign.
Under my plan, there will also be a carbon fee. There has to be some connection between the fee and bad behaviors, and there has to be, in that we have to monitor whether it's going to be passed on to consumers. But I'm going to tell you that should never be the reason not to actually put a fee, and in particular a carbon fee.
And that's just the beginning with her. Think of it, she wants to tax, think of what this means. She wants to tax unrealized gains. In other words, you don't know if you have a gain or not. Like Danica over here, she makes a fortune. She makes so much money. I wonder if she would mind paying unrealized, because someday you may have a gain. Let's tax it. I don't know. Danica, Patrick, great. I've been a fan of yours so long. So talented. And so beautiful, but I'm not allowed to say that as a politician, so I will withdraw that statement. You know, today, if you say somebody's beautiful, it's the end of your political career. I don't think so. Thank you very much, Danica. But this is the only woman or man, this is the only person I've ever seen that's campaigning on tax hikes. She's going to raise your taxes maybe 70%, maybe 80%. All my life, I grew up in this stuff, and I'd watch the politicians, and they're, we will cut your taxes. I say it because it's true. I'm going to cut your taxes. I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country and the biggest regulation cuts in the history, and we're going to cut them further. That's more like a good politician, but it's also somebody that knows how it has to work. We need that. The people don't have the money. We're going to get your interest rates down, too, by the way. Kamala also launched a war on tip workers and service workers here in Nevada, increasing the so-called tip. You know, she wants to, when I said no tax on tips, remember? A month later, she comes out, and we will have no tax on tips. She never said that. And she's never said it again. You're not going to get it. We're going to have no tax on tips. She wanted to increase and did increase the so-called tip allocation tax rate by 60%. She raised your tax, and then she's supposed to say, no tax on tips. In other words, even after Kamala wrecked your economy with inflation, she came after you with tip income, sort of like a vulture would do. If she gets 4 more years, Kamala Harris will pick your pockets bare. By contrast, I will massively cut taxes for workers, and in particular, we will have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors. All three are very good for this room. Which is the most? Let's do a poll, free poll. I won't have to pay $700,000. Which do you like more? Ready? We'll go tips, overtime, Social Security. Which is the way? Which is the, because you guys, I mean, you sort of have them in this state, you have them all. Tips is great, but overtime is great too. Ready? Vote for one. You can only, let's assume you can only have one, which you can't. You're going to get all three. What do you like best? Free poll for Trump. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. What is that? Okay. No tax on Social Security benefits for this year. That's amazing. See, the seniors always win. They always win. Under the Trump administration, we're going to build an economy that lifts up all Americans, including African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and also members of our great Asian American and Pacific Islander community, many of whom are here today, especially so many amazing Nevada Filipinos, right? I have to be honest, so what happened? I came in and I saw so many people. I said, where the hell? They had the most beautiful, they had the most beautiful clothing, such bright colors. I said, where the hell do all these people come from? And when they told me, that's why I put that little paragraph in there. I said, it's great. You are the greatest people, hardworking people, and we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna take care of you. You're gonna take care of us. No, you're great. No, what spirit, what great spirit. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Beautiful clothing, the colors. I want to wear colors like that. How would it be if I walked into the Oval Office with some of those colors I saw tonight? I don't know, maybe. For me, I don't think it works. But we're pleased to be joined by an incredible leader from the Asian American Pacific community, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve and a former congresswoman and Democratic presidential candidate, and you just heard her, and she is great, and she is so popular. You know, I always say she's a woman of common sense. I've watched her for a long time. Of course, not that long because she's quite young, but I've watched her for a long time, and I've always loved her saying she doesn't want to go to war with countries that nobody ever heard of, that don't want war. Tulsi Gabbard, she's great. Thank you. Great job, Tulsi. Great job, Tulsi. Thank you. She's terrific. And we have, don't forget, Bobby Kennedy is going to straighten out our health. He's going to straighten out our health and all of that stuff. And I don't know if I'm going to have him working too much on the environment. I'm a little concerned about that with Bobby. I don't know if I want him playing around with our with our liquid gold under our feet. You know, I gotta say, Bobby, work on health. He's great. Because, you know, I like the liquid gold, I think, more than his oil and gas. I think I like that a little bit more than Bobby. But he'll have an impact. No, he's so popular. We introduced him last night. Place went crazy. He went crazy with Tulsi, too. And Tucker Carlson was here last night. He was very popular, really popular. We had a great time last night, but we had about 20,000. Today we have 29,000 people, and we have 29,000 outside. You can fill the place up twice. We broke the record in this place. It's a nice place, by the way, quite nice. But we have a bigger number of people outside. If anybody would like to give up your seat, please raise your hand. We have a big number of people outside. It's a great honor. You know what? This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. It's called MAGA. It's called Make America Great Again. It's very simple. When Sleepy Joe Biden, remember a year ago, he was with the pink wall and it looked like the devil, and he was saying, "We will stop MAGA, we will stop." He didn't know what the hell he was. "We will stop MAGA." And we sent him a note. MAGA means Make America Great Again, Joe. We will stop making America great again. It's crazy. These people are crazy. To further defeat inflation and bring back our economy, I will terminate Kamala's insane electric vehicle mandate. And we will immediately end one of the greatest scams in the history of our country, designed by a person that never even studied anything about the environment, AOC +3. You know AOC? Did you ever take a course on the environment? No, I didn't. But she said the planet will be dead within 12 years. We got to be careful. We got to be careful. You know why we got to be careful? Because with the environment, don't worry, it's going to be just fine. If we don't have smart people in the White House, it'll be dead for another reason, nuclear weapons, and we can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. Because I know the power. I rebuilt our entire military. I know the power of the nuclear. And we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let stupid people negotiate for us. And the mandate, the electric, and by the way, electric cars are great. Elon Musk endorsed us. He endorsed us, gave us the great. You know where he is right now? He's in Pennsylvania campaigning because he thinks this is the most important election in the history of our country. And he's great. And they are great. They're great, but for a certain group of people. But we want to have gasoline-propelled cars. We want to have hybrids, which are good. Hybrids are good, combination of both. We want to have everything. Hydrogen, I don't know about it. I think Danica would know about hydrogen. Hydrogen cars, Danica, they say they're really good, except there's one problem. When there's a mishap, when it explodes a little bit, they cannot even recognize you. So we never want to do that. That's too much. Hydrogen cars, I think we'll take a pass on hydrogen. Sir, your wife was in a little accident. Oh, what kind of a car? Hydrogen. Where is she? We don't know. She's gone. She's gone, sir. She's gone. Oh, my wife. I want to see my wife again. Hydrogen, no. I think we'll pass. They said they've gotten it much better. No, that's not good enough. But we will quickly become energy independent again. We were energy independent 4 years ago. And we will frack, 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 and drill, baby, drill, right? We're gonna drill. And I'm gonna cut your energy bill in half within, think of this, within 12 months. 50% you're gonna have it down, and the reason we can do it is we got that liquid gold. We don't know what to do with it. We have so much, we don't use it. And you know what, when that comes down, because that's what led it up, that and their stupid spending, but the energy is what led it up. They're paying a fortune for energy. We have it under the ground. We're going to use our energy. Your energy bills from January 20th, when we take office, will be down 50% within 12 months, and everything else will follow. To make housing more affordable, we will open up portions of federal land, which is what you've wanted here so badly. And your governor's doing a good job, by the way. We thank him very much, Joe Lombardo. Doing a very good job. For large-scale housing construction in those zones, we'll have ultra-low taxes and low regulations to help bring back jobs and factories from foreign lands. We have our jobs going to foreign lands. But I killed the big auto plant in Mexico, right? You know that. They were building the biggest auto plant in the world. You know what happened? I said, if you build it, you're going to pay a 200% tariff, meaning you're not going to be able to sell any cars into the United States. And by doing that, I saved Michigan. I helped South Carolina a lot, but I saved Detroit because they've been decimated so badly over the years, over the decades. They've been devastated. We're going to bring the auto industry back into our country through smart taxation and tariffs and incentives. And we're going to have every car company that wants to sell cars in this country, they're going to be making them in our country. And remember, the interest rate deduction, you buy a car, the interest rate deduction that I am going to get you is only going to pertain if the car is made in America. If it's made someplace else, forget it. Got to be made in America. I mean, how smart is that? How simple is that? I probably just tripled their production in Detroit. And by the way, we're leading in Michigan by a lot. We're leading in Wisconsin by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. But I'm not supposed to say that. Just forget it. Pretend it's close. Everybody has to. No, they're afraid that if you hear that, they're not going to vote. I said, well, it's a double-edged sword. You know, if we're leading by a lot, they won't think about cheating as much as if we're just leading by a little bit, because we got to stop. We got to make these elections honorable and honest, or we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Starting in January, we will give our companies the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs, the lowest regulatory burdens, and free access to the best and biggest market anywhere on the planet, but only if they make their products here in America and hire American workers. Otherwise, they pay just like everybody else. And I say the most beautiful word in the entire dictionary of words is the word tariff. I love tariff. I can make anybody do anything through the use of tariffs. I can keep people out of war. I can keep us out of war. The word tariff is the most beautiful. I think I'll do this just so I don't get myself in trouble. I'm going to say the third most beautiful. Love and religion. And then the word tariff. Then the word tariff. I better do that, right, Vivek? I think I better say love is the most, and religion, they're the number 1, 2. You can switch them back and forth any way you want. This way I've just protected myself. But the third most beautiful word is the word tariff. You know, it really did. Tariffs needed a press agent because all these crooked politicians, they didn't like it. You know, they're all taken care of by foreign countries. They don't like tariffs. But we're doing the tariffs, and we're going to, you know, I charged China. China was charged by me hundreds of billions of dollars over the last few years that we were in the administration. And in fact, Biden hasn't been able to get rid of them because they make so much damn money, they can't justify getting rid of them. He'd love to, because they paid him a lot of money, China. They've given him a lot of money. He'd love to be able to reciprocate, right? But no, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in China tariffs and other tariffs too. And you can we stay out of wars. I've been, as an example, 2 countries fighting each other for like 1,000 years. They're always fighting back, and you probably know, I don't want to get involved, but you know the countries back and forth. And I got tired of it. I called them both. I said, here's the story. You guys have been fighting each other for thousands of years. Stop already. Are you ready to hear? 200% tariffs I'm going to put on each of your countries if you fight. And if you don't fight, you don't have the tariffs. But if you fight, now these are people that kill a lot of people. They kill each other for years and years and decades and centuries. I said, if you keep this up, I'm charging you 200% tariffs to do business in the United States. And I want to know immediately. Call me tomorrow. They call me up. Sir, we have decided not to go into war. I saved a lot of lives. Just... And you know, it had nothing to do with me, but I'd rather see people not get killed, okay? And you know what, sadly, zero chance that Putin would have gone into Ukraine if I were president. Zero chance. What a shame that is. All of the death, and it's far greater than you hear about. When they knock down those buildings that are 3 blocks long and 20 stories high, and they say one person was slightly injured. Nah. The death in that whole thing is just crazy. And I'm going to work on that from the day, hopefully, the day that we win, which is November 5th, in the evening, on the evening of November 5th. I will call Putin, I will call Zelensky. I said, we got to stop it. I'm going to try and get it done as president-elect. As president-elect. That'll give me plenty of credibility. I don't have to wait till January 20th. I'm going to try and get it done sooner than that. It's horrible. The people that are being killed. And October 7th would have never happened with Israel. All those people would never have been killed. Iran was broke. They would not have been able to do it. They weren't giving money to Hezbollah. They weren't giving money to Hamas. They didn't have money. They didn't have money. And I was looking to help them. You know, we did a thing called the Abraham Accords, and anybody else would have been given the Nobel Prize. Me, they gave Obama the Nobel Prize. He didn't even know why the hell he got it, right, Obama? He still doesn't. He got elected and they announced he's getting the Nobel Prize. I got elected in a much bigger, better, crazier election. But they gave him the Nobel Prize. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nobel Prize will be won by Barack Hussein Obama. Right? Barack Hussein Obama got the Nobel Prize. He didn't even know what. He actually asked, why did I get it? Does anybody know? Right at the beginning. The early seconds of his administration. And he didn't do a good job either. He brought a lot of division and a lot of hatred. And if these companies don't make their products here, then they will pay a tariff when they send their products into the United States for the privilege of competing with our workers and our cherished and now protected companies. We're going to protect these companies that are going to come in by the thousands, and then we're going to protect them. Nobody's going to steal their product, their people, or their company. We're going to protect them through the intelligent use of tariffs. And as you probably heard, this big plant that everyone's talking about that's being built by China in Mexico right along the border, I said, if they build that plant and if I win, I'm going to put a 200% tariff on every car and they're not going to be able to sell a car. And you know what happened? They announced last week they're not building the plant because of Trump. I saved Michigan, I saved Detroit. They're not built. It's the biggest plant in the world, biggest auto plant in the world. And they announced they're not going to build now. They said, that guy's crazy. And we will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act if China or any other country, it's not just China, charges us a 100 or 200% tax or tariff, then we will charge them an identical 100 or 200% tax or tariff. Here's the story. They charge us, we charge them. You know what's going to happen? They're not going to charge us. Very simple. It's called an eye for an eye. I will never apologize for defending America. I will protect our workers. I will protect our jobs. I will protect our borders. I will protect our families. And I will protect the birthright of our children to live in the richest and most powerful nation on the face of the earth. And we're rapidly losing that title. Under Kamala's economy, millions of Americans are suffering because of inflation. And those seniors that are going to get that beautiful gift, the one of three, on Social Security. They've been hurt so badly because most seniors, well, I'm a senior. Can you believe it? I'm a senior. I don't feel it. They'll say, he has a conflict of interest by proposing that. Oh, they'll say anything. I have a conflict of interest. I'm a senior and I'm proposing some great benefit for the seniors. He's giving it to what? They'll come up with something, those people. But the seniors have been hurt so bad by inflation that they're entitled. They are entitled to what we're getting them in terms of a tax reduction and in terms of getting them some extra, because they were devastated. You know, if you look at inflation, I think it's up 60, 70. They like to say it's 22, 23. It's not. They don't include the bad ones. But it's way up, and they're on a fixed income. They're entitled to what we're going to get them on Social Security. They really are. But I'm still amazed that they won. I've never done that they won my little poll. That little poll, those seniors never lose. They just know how to win. But we're losing our jobs, and they can't afford housing or groceries or a car, and yet Kamala is importing millions and millions of illegals across our borders, letting them come in, open borders. They come in, we have no idea who they are, where they come from. They come from parts unknown. They come from parts unknown, giving them taxpayer benefits at your expense. They say, come to America, we'll give you health care. Try going into a hospital now. Try going into a hospital. Go to Springfield, Ohio. Try getting into the hospital. They have this beautiful community of 52,000 people. And they just sent 30,000 people into Springfield, Ohio that don't speak English. You used to be sick, you'd go into a hospital. Now you're sick and they say, we can't take you. Every hospital is packed, every school is packed. The schools are packed with students that don't even speak English. You know what they're looking for now? Interpreters, hundreds of interpreters. Can you believe it? Because the mayor is a very nice man, and he wants to help. And instead of saying, I'm sorry, you cannot be here, you have to go back where you came from, you have to, he said, we want to get interpreters. He's trying to be nice. That's not the way to be. And then you look at Aurora in California. Take a look at Aurora in Colorado, where people have better guns, more advanced than most militaries. They're called Supreme guns. They're Supreme. They're the Supreme version. They come out of Venezuela or in other countries and they take over real estate by gunpoint. In other words, like me, they're in the real estate business. Isn't that nice? But they don't borrow money to do it. They don't put up their own money. They just walk in and start collecting the rents. It's out of control. The governor is petrified. He's petrified. He's a radical left Democrat. And I'll tell you, Colorado's so angry because even Democrats leading, think of that though. I'm leading everybody, Democrat, Republican, and that guy tried to take me off the ballot. We're going to win the state of Colorado. We got to win Colorado just to send a message. So Colorado, if you're watching, let's send a message back home that cannot play with our Constitution. You're witnessing the economic oppression of Americans to reward and enrich illegal aliens. But all that stops 2 weeks from now. Think of it, 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. For 4 straight years, Kamala Harris has imported an army of illegal alien gang members and migrant criminals from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo in Africa, and she's resettled them into a community near you. Isn't that lovely? And really did it, and they will prey on innocent Americans that have no idea what we're getting into. When we win on November 5th, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins. And one of the deadliest and most vicious migrant gangs that Kamala has allowed to come into our country through her stupid and ridiculous open borders policy is the savage Venezuelan prison gang. Isn't that nice? A bunch of guys got together in prison. It's named Tren de Aragua and is taking over all sorts of real estate and apartment complexes and unleashing a violent terror spree all over America, including Times Square in New York. Take a look.
Open borders, deadly consequences.
Border crisis. Record-high crossings are putting a strain on cities across America.
It is a full-blown invasion.
Armed Venezuelan gang members storming an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
When people talk about migrant crime, this is what they're talking about.
San Antonio, Texas, just one of the latest cities to have apartment complexes taken over by members of the Venezuelan gang.
Biden and Harris had created a program.
Here are some clickbait-style options.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
Abolish ICE. Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national.
He was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
If they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
2 men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder and the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Martinez and Angel wrapped his arms around Jocelyn's neck, took off her pants, and climbed on top of her. Later strangled Jocelyn to death, and then tied up her hands and feet.
Court documents suggest a group of men arrested for beating and robbing a Dallas woman last month are members of a Venezuelan street gang.
The men threatened to cut off her fingers if she did not cooperate. Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
A Peruvian gang leader who is wanted for 23 murders, who was arrested by Border Patrol near Roma, Texas, then released into America.
And you know, Border Patrol, last week they endorsed me. They gave me a full, complete, and unanimous endorsement. And they have every year since I've been involved in politics, every single year, but they're incredible people. But it wasn't the endorsement, it was what they said about her. They said she's the absolute worst thing that could happen to our country. And it's hard for them to say that. It's hard for them to say that. But they meant it. The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. We're going to get them out. We're going to get them out. Under Kamala Harris, 13,099, and this comes right from Border Patrol. And they never did this before. They never gave out these numbers, but they did now because they see it as so serious. 13,099 illegal alien convicted murderers. These are people in penitentiaries and jails, prisons, all over the world, are now on the loose in the United States of America. This summer, an illegal alien from El Salvador was arrested in West Virginia after going on a violent rampage in which he brutally beat a couple with a baseball bat so hard that the police said they've never seen anything like it. Repeatedly, over and over again, then stabbed a man and then murdered a West Virginia mother of two and lit the body on fire in a field. Kamala Harris released him into custody even though he was convicted of murder and a convicted sex offender. And this is a violent person who hit again numerous times. And under her theory, it's just fine. He can do whatever he wants. No, we can't do this anymore. Would anybody, I just happen to have it, and this is, has anybody heard the snake before? Would you like to hear the snake again? You sure? Because it's a nice evening. We have not, is there any place better than being at a Trump rally, the biggest rallies, the greatest movement. All right, we'll do the snake, yes? So this is a little play on words, not her kind of words, word salad. I don't like the term, but it's sort of true. It's terrible. I don't know what's going on in her mind. This is the snake, and this is really about illegal immigration and people that come into our countries that are murderers, killers, drug dealers, gang members, prisoners of the worst sort from all over the world. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and soon as she arrived, she found the pretty snake she'd taken had been survived. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, cried the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying, thank you, ma'am, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, but why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. Huh? And that's what we're doing. That was pretty good. That ended up perfectly. I could have done that 100 times and that wouldn't have happened. You know, that really is just what's happening now. We're letting people in from prisons and we're letting them in from mental institutions. It's the snake. It's going to bite us like nobody's ever been bitten before. You know, in 2019, I don't even believe these in 2018, but 2019, Border Patrol put down 0 during my term, 4 years. 2019, 0 terrorists allowed into our country. We had it down, the drugs, the whole thing, human trafficking, mostly in women. You know, the human trafficking is mostly in women. But, you know, we're missing, think of this, 325,000 children are missing. They're gone. Never to be seen probably again. They're either sex slaves, or they're dead. Their parents will never see them again. They're missing. They come through the southern border. Think if I did that. Think if a Republican did that, what it would be. And the fake news back there never talks about it. They won't talk about it. But they have down that in 2019, 0 terrorists were allowed into our country. Now, I think they're probably wrong, but because there must be some. And then the next year, they have down as 11, and we captured all 11 and took them the hell out of here. But think of this. Now we have thousands of terrorists coming into our country, unvetted and unchecked. We can't do this. We can't do this. So the snake is a very interesting old song that was played that I played around with, made it a little bit more apropos, but it's really true, the snake. It's take me in, O vicious woman, and it's really something. So she dies, we're gonna die, we're gonna have a lot of death because these people are just getting used to their surroundings. You know, they're getting used to it. This just started. When I say just started 3 years ago at a level that nobody's ever seen before. We have to have a safe country. We can't have a safe country when half of the worst terrorists in the world are let free into our country. And we're going to do something about it. And we're going to deport all of them, get them the hell out of here. Nothing good can happen. Nothing good is going to happen. And anybody that can be so stupid as to think that that's a good thing, and there's only 3 reasons it can be. They're stupid, which they're not, because anybody that can cheat at elections that well, they're not stupid. They hate our country, or they're trying to get those people to sign up and vote. And all 3 of them are not good. Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will rescue every town across America that has been invaded and conquered. And we will put, and that's true, think of the words, towns that have been invaded and conquered. They've been conquered. They've been conquered. And a lot of, it's not everybody's Aurora where they're talking about it. We have many towns that are in the same position and worse, but they don't want to talk about it. It's out of control. And we have a lot of towns that haven't yet been infected, but they're petrified that they will be, and they will be. And we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of the country so fast. To expedite removal of Trende, Aragua, and MS-13 gang members, the worst in the world. MS-13, you know about that. They come from South America, and they love knives, and they kill people with knives because it's more deadly than bullets. 2 young girls in Long Island walking down the street, a lot of them in Long Island, we got rid of almost all of them, but now they're coming back under this stupid, ridiculous group of people that we have in Washington. 2 beautiful 16-year-old girls are walking to school, MS-13 gang, during the early morning, grabbed them and sliced them up with a knife. They didn't want to use the bullet because it's too fast, and they sliced them up, both died. And we did numbers on those guys like you wouldn't believe. Nobody else would have done it. Nobody else would have done it. You have some people that think they should be protected. These are animals that we have to deal with them accordingly, or we're not going to have a country left. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. Think of how far back. Think of how far back we have to go, because we have weak politicians that don't deal with these problems correctly. Like I did in Washington when they started ripping down our statues. They didn't get there. But I found an old act from the early 1900s that said, if you touch one of our beautiful monuments of Lincoln, Washington, any one of them, you get automatically 10 years in jail. And they were going a little wild. Do you remember? They were going a little bit wild. They were a little out of control. They had ropes around General Jackson. They had ropes around Abraham Lincoln. When they put the rope around Lincoln, I said, all right, let's go. Let's go. That's a step too far. Would have been everybody. And they didn't care one way or the other. They're mostly just troublemakers. They didn't know. They didn't even know it was Lincoln, frankly. But I enacted the act, and I had a little news conference. I said, from this moment forward, anybody that so much as touches one of our beautiful Washington monuments goes to jail for 10 years with no parole, no nothing. And it was a beautiful sight, because I looked out of the White House window and I saw thousands of people from the back. I watched all of those asses walking away from Washington, and they were gone. And we never heard from them again. It's an amazing thing. We never heard from them again, and that was the end of that. But we have to be strong. So I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target the migrant criminal network, and it is a bad one, operating on American soil. We will target them. We will hit them so hard. If you don't, you're not going to survive. This is an army. This is an army that they allowed into our country, an army. And if they come back into our country after being thrown out, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or law enforcement officer. We have no choice. We have no choice because it's not sustainable by any country. It's not sustainable. I will end catch and release. I will end all migrant flights. Think of, I had a deal with Mexico. You think this was easy? Remain in Mexico. Nobody was allowed into our country. In Tijuana, this was the fastest growing city in the world. They had hundreds of thousands of people. They couldn't come into our country. I said, one person steps foot into our country without our approval. In other words, before we check them out, one person, we're going to put 100 and 200% tariffs on everything. And they said, sir, whatever you'd like. We would love to keep them. We would love to keep 500,000 people in Tijuana. And I will outlaw sanctuary cities immediately, and we will ban all welfare and federal benefits for illegal. We are running against the most radical and most incompetent, most unfit vice president in the history of our country. No one respects her. No one trusts her. You know, President Xi of China, they asked me, he's a friend of mine. I thought, we were actually very close, but frankly, COVID, or as I call it, the China virus, was a step too far. But we had a very good relationship. Putin, all of them, I know all of them very well. No one takes her seriously. Somebody said, what kind of a man is President Xi of China? I said, he's a fierce man. There's nobody in Hollywood that could play the role of him. He's a fierce person. And she will be just, she'll be gobbled up. They are looking so forward to this. But we're not going to let it happen because we're killing them right now. We're beating them so badly, and we're going to keep it going. Just get out and vote. Just get out and vote. Don't take any chances. Don't take any chances. Get out and vote.